Guys, thanks so much for coming in for a video today. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry I've taken so long with my Q&A. Of course, as you know, the holidays came and went and I got cut up. All right, sorry guys, the dog knocked down my go. Sorry guys, so sorry that I took so long to do this this is our third Q&A, because the holidays came in, I got really busy with that, and then I had a horrible thing happen to me that I was kind of preoccupied with. My credit card was counterfeited, and this is twice in 2 months. The last time it was done was November. And when that happens, everything is halted in my online business, especially with Amazon. They will not allow me access to my account. I cannot transfer money. I cannot even get my customer's address in order to ship out what they purchased. So it was a nightmare right before Christmas. So needless to say, a lot of people didn't get presents. Just so preoccupied with that, and other videos that came and went, you know, and presented themselves, my hauls and all of that. So please forgive me. But we'll get started now. All right, the first question, and first of all, I want to thank Alexandra asked for answering our questions about taxes. There was a question posed about things that are taxable and whatnot, and she addressed that quite eloquently, and I really, really appreciate your knowledge. Thank you so much. Okay, then on to my next question. This one is on your next Q&A. This is from S Keepers. On your next Q&A, could you cover some things you noticed that are on trend? For example, I noticed you had a nice Ankh-shaped necklace. I'm sure the Ankh theme is trending. I see Ankh symbols in jewelry and even tattoos. The other day you mentioned the buyer's fascination with Barney. Have you noticed any other trends over the year or so? And actually, yes, Barney is definitely on trend. Everything from books to VHS, pick them up. They do well. If you can find one that's sealed, especially, and I think the one at Barney at the beach is one of the most sought after. Anyway, but also in jewelry, I have noticed that the stacking rings are very popular. All of these trends from the 70s are back. Even the mid finger ring style is definitely a trend from the 70s. I remember seeing it on a lady. Back when I used to sell shoes, I was a teenager with my first job, and she came in as a customer, and very trendy woman, probably about my age right now, and I was a teenager, and she said, hey, have you seen this trend of wearing the ring halfway? This is a gold ring, and she had just bought it in 14 karat gold, and it was gorgeous. And I was like, no, I never have. But every time I see the new rings, I think back to that lady who did it, you know, in the 70s. So those are definitely on trend. I don't know if it's played out or not. I hate to say that something played out, because I was telling one of my other subscribers we were talking about the Louis Vuitton Murakami LVs, the Louis Vuitton Murakami multicolors, and how some people say, oh, those are so 90s and Jessica Simpson, and those are dead and whatnot. And to me, a trend is a trend as long as you're wearing it. If you like it and you can rock it and wear it and sport it in good health and you look fabulous, it's on trend. And that's the same thing I say about anything. I saw it in a movie where this guy, he was a fashion editor for the New York Times or some trendy newspaper, and one of his contentions was that as long as it is being worn by women in the streets, it's in. It's never out. So that's the same thing I say about jewelry and the Louis Vuittons, whether they're in the monogram classic or the monogram multicolor. If you like it and you can rock it, then it's in. And so I feel the same way about this statement necklace. But people wear it, it's all over Pinterest. They love it. But pick them up. You can probably easily resell them. Another thing, the stacking, of course, the bracelets, they call it arm candy. Those are very trendy. Really high quality clip earring, either a Napier or a Monet. I pick that up because they do sell really, really well, and especially sterling silver as well. They're hard to find in sterling silver, but people are really clamoring for them. They really like them. They don't wear pierced earrings for some reason or another. They never got their ears pierced, or they're tired of having them pull on their ears. The heavy pierced earrings do that as well. So, excuse me while I take a swig before my coffee gets too cold. It's really good today. Oh my goodness. Earrings are always good, especially sterling silver. Mexican jewelry has ebbed and flowed. I've seen it go sky high, then I've seen it ebb a little bit. But but I definitely always look out for it anyway, especially, as I said, clip-on earrings in sterling silver. You've got a good seller there. The barrettes for your hair go really high on Etsy. The leather ones with the little stick. I think I showed you some in my haul not too long ago, or rather in my What's in My Bag video. I showed you one that I was wearing, and I saw them for sale at the Renaissance Festival, and then I looked them up on Etsy, and they are definitely selling them on Etsy. Accessories. Another thing that I think is always on trend to sell on Etsy is wedding toppers, and I have a few here that I have listed. I had a collection of wedding toppers because I was going to use them at my daughter's wedding as a sort of tablescape for the gift table. I was going to strewn it with all types of wedding toppers, vintage and whatnot. Here's one here. This is just a traditional wedding topper, but here's a kind of a little children wedding topper, vintage, and then I had another one with bears and frogs and just all types, and these always do well. People love unique things for their wedding, so I do pick that up whenever I can. I do always look in the bric-a-brac for things like that, and they sell well, and not only for wedding, but Cabbage Patch. This is just a bank. It's a plastic bank, and this is the second one I pick up, and I have not listed this one yet, but I have sold one new in a box exactly like that for over, I believe I sold it for $35. Picked it up for a couple of dollars, and I sold it for $35, and I believe it was on Etsy, if I'm not mistaken, Etsy or eBay, but the lady asked me to rush it to her because she needed it for a party that weekend. She was having a party for her daughter who was turning 30 or something, so she wanted to bring in her childhood theme, sort of a childhood theme for her, and she was going to use it as a cake topper. So I thought that was really cool, and so I always do things like that. I do pick up piggy banks a lot. They are very popular. Piggy banks are very popular on eBay, and they do sell well. So anything that is ocean or sea themes does really well. People still love to have that kind of thing on their in their bathroom decor, or just in general for cottage, sort of a cottage look. The little fish from the 60s, I don't know if you recall those mold type of fish that are ceramic or plastic, those always do well as well. And oh, I was also going to talk about, for fashion trends, the fringe jackets are definitely on trend right now. The fringe, think of the Jackson 5 back in the 70s, in the early 70s, with the long fringe jackets. I saw a girl sporting one the other day at the mall. She looked great, and I think it was new because it didn't even look like it was leather, but if you ever find a vintage one, pick it up. So that's about it that I can think of for trends. Thank you so much for your question. Lisa says, thanks, Thelma, for answering my question. I do love the swing coat, and I know where you get your stylish ways from. Oh, thank you so much. That's really sweet. Yeah, that was my mom's coat that we were talking about that I tried on last time, and I look so ridiculous now that I look at the video. I was wearing rain boots, but the coat looked great, didn't it? Anyway, okay. So now from Leo Lion LV, and this is a fabulous channel, guys. I need to link her channel if you care about Louis Vuittons and all of that stuff, because she does a Q&A on Louis Vuitton and anything else you want to ask her. She's fabulous. And she says, I have several videos to catch up on. I have a question for you. Have you had any difficult sales? If so, how did you resolve it? I'm so terrified to sell things, but I would like to. Thanks. Actually, this is a very timely question, because I did recently sell a Louis Vuitton, and I did not notice that, and this is very unlike me because I'm very meticulous about my bags and inspecting them before I ship them. But I sold a Louis Vuitton, and the lady told me that it had a stain in it. It had a tiny, she called it an ink stain, and that is impossible because I do not carry loose pens in my bags. I think I've mentioned to you the disaster that happened to me when I carried it was actually a Sharpie in a Coach bag. And I will never make that mistake again, and I just don't do that. And I'm so careful, even when I write in my agenda, to make sure that I close it. And I'm so careful about ink stains. But she said it was an ink stain. I sold it to her on Poshmark. Poshmark guarantees anything that you sell, you know, as long as it's not as described and whatnot. So she's using a not as described issue, and she's going to return it. And of course, I'm not going to even argue with her. If she says it's an ink stain, I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to try to clean it. I'm going to try to resell it. No problem. But that's really the only issue that I've had lately. And as I said, that was on Poshmark. Poshmark does take 20% of your commission. So that is a high stakes sale there. But even if it was on eBay, if she said it was not as described, I'm obliged to take it back, and I will take it back. And I have never had anyone say to me it was not delivered. I'm going to sell. I just sold something else that was quite expensive. I'm going to ship it with a signature confirmation, and I think there is also a signature confirmation where that particular person has to sign it. And I have also heard that PayPal will cover it for the buyer end as well, for the buyer and for the seller. So because they really do track that package. If you guys have any anecdotes or anything about that, please let us know. But I haven't had any problems selling handbags. Sold expensive handbags. I haven't had any problems. This is the first one. I expect it to come back. Poshmark said they would get back to me. I believe they're going to issue a label for her to ship it back to me free of charge, and I expect to get it. And then I never got the money for it, so she won't be charged at all for that transaction. On eBay, where you do get your money immediately, if they when they buy something, when you receive it back, you are expected to issue a refund. If you don't issue the refund, eBay will do it, and that's why they keep your credit card information, because they will issue a refund to the buyer. The buyer has a buyer protection plan, and no, I'm not afraid of selling expensive items on eBay. I really am not. I really feel that your protection. I mean, if you do the signature confirmation and even insure it on top of that, so don't be afraid of that. Don't think that consignment is the only way. It really is not. When I bought my Louis Vuitton Courtney, which was an extremely expensive bag, she shipped it, I believe, FedEx. And she knew exactly to the minute that I had my hands on that bag, because she emailed me and she said, "Did you get it? I have tracking here that you received it," and whatnot. And I'm sure they have really good insurance as well on that. So I'm not scared of selling my bags on Louis Vuitton. I'm not scared of selling expensive items on eBay, Poshmark, or the like. I really am not. I feel there are protections for the buyer and for the seller as well. Of course, there's going to be scammers out there, but even if there is, the process protects the seller as well. So if you have any horror stories that you want to tell me about, please do so. I have to say to Miss LV Lion out there, Leo Lion, I have to say to Leo Lion out there that don't be afraid to sell on eBay or buy on eBay. I have had fabulous deals on there, and I've never been scammed. All right, and then we have another question. Just thought of a QT for you. I'm a curator, not a hoarder. I like that. Thank you. Because we were talking about being curators and not hoarders, right? Oh my gosh, this pup. Hi, how are you? Your little jiggling is making a lot of noise for my video. Thanks, guys. I'm so glad you like the coat. Isn't it gorgeous? I absolutely love it. All right. Well, I think those are all the questions, guys. Yeah, I think those are all the questions. Thank you so much for posting those questions. I really, really appreciate it. Sorry about all the angles on the camera. My dog was cruising by and knocked it down a few times. Please post some more questions, guys. I really, really appreciate those. And I will not take so long to get back to another Q&A like I did this time. The holidays were just kind of preoccupied with the holidays and with the card issue, and I just and then I had a whole bunch of hauls I could not. That was probably one of the reasons why I procrastinated buying my Christmas, as well as because I kept going to the thrift store and sourcing and finding things, and then I wanted to get them on a video and get them hauled out to you and things. So anyway, I'm just looking around to see if there's anything I forgot to show you or talk about, but I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for the questions. Please post some more questions. I love this series on Q&A. I want to answer all your questions that you may have about selling, reselling, what I'm buying to sell, what are you buying to sell, what have you seen as trends. Please use this forum as a little bit of a give and take. I really would appreciate that. And if I don't talk to you again before the new year, have a great one, and thanks so much. Please come back for another video. Bye.